11 at night. Middle of January. 12 degrees outside. And my mountain cabin dies. Not a flicker. Not a brownout. Just dead. Heat gone. Lights gone. Fridge gone. I drag on my boots, grab a flashlight, and stumble out the back door, fingers going numb before I even hit the snow. I hike through 6 inches of powder to the utility junction at the edge of my property, and stop. The door is hanging open. The lock is on the ground. Wire ties scattered. Every cable has been cut, clean, like someone did this carefully, deliberately, and knew exactly what they were doing. That's not an accident. That's a message. My breath fogs in the flashlight beam. I stand there in the dark, in the cold, on my own property, and the rage that moves through me isn't hot. It's cold, quiet, the kind that doesn't go away. And I know exactly who sent it. She's been threatening my ugly off-grid setup for months. Called my solar array a visual hazard. Said it violated community aesthetic guidelines. Told me if I didn't fix it, she'd handle it through other channels. I didn't take that seriously enough. I figured the worst she could do was whine to an HOA board that has zero jurisdiction over my land. Turns out her other channels were felony vandalism of a power line. So I pull out my phone. First call the sheriff. I report deliberate tampering with utility infrastructure on private property. Second call my office. Regional Operations Dispatch picks up immediately. This is Ops. What's the situation? This is Marcus Webb, I say. Senior VP of Grid Infrastructure. I have a deliberate disconnection at my personal residence. I need a crew dispatched tonight, and a full incident report opened immediately. Silence for half a second. Then, yes, sir. Crew's on the way. I hang up and look back at that open junction box. Because what Karen doesn't know yet is that she didn't just cut my power. She picked a fight with the man who runs the power company. Let me back up 6 months. I bought the mountain cabin as a retreat. Simple place. Solid bones. Sits on 2 acres at the edge of a ridge, with views that make you forget what stress feels like. I work 60-hour weeks managing power grid infrastructure for a regional utility company. When I'm up there, I want silence. No emails. No conference calls. Just pine trees and cold air and the sound of nothing. The cabin runs on a hybrid solar and battery system I designed myself. Panels on the south-facing roof slope. Battery bank in the utility shed. Clean, efficient, completely self-contained. I was proud of it. The HOA up there is small. Maybe 40 properties. Mostly weekend cabins and retirees. Low drama. Or so I thought. The HOA president lives 3 lots down. She moved in 2 years before me. And from what the neighbors told me quietly, she'd been running that HOA like a personal fiefdom ever since. First time she knocked on my door, I thought she was being neighborly. She was holding a clipboard. Your solar panels aren't compliant with community aesthetic guidelines, she said. No hello. No introduction. I stared at her. I'm sorry. The panels are visible from the access road. Section 7 of our bylaws covers visual uniformity. You'll need to remove them or apply for a variance. I checked the bylaws that night. Section 7 covered paint colors and mailbox styles. Not solar panels. Not energy systems. Nothing remotely close. I sent her a polite email explaining this. She replied with a formal violation notice. And that's when I understood what kind of person I was dealing with. But I had no idea how far she was willing to go. The violation notices came every week after that. Different reasons each time. Solar panels blocking natural sight lines. Batteries shed incompatible with mountain aesthetic. Wiring potentially hazardous to community infrastructure. I responded to every single one. Certified mail. Photos. Technical documentation proving full compliance with state and county codes. She didn't care. She'd acknowledge my response with a form letter and send another violation 48 hours later. I called the county planning office. They confirmed my system was fully permitted and legal. I called a property attorney. She confirmed the HOA had zero jurisdiction over energy systems on private property. Didn't matter. The HOA president showed up at my cabin 3 times unannounced. Walked the perimeter of my property taking photos. Once I caught her standing at my utility shed, trying the door handle. That's locked for a reason. I called out from the porch. She didn't even flinch. Just wrote something on her clipboard and left. Then the letters changed tone. Final notice. Failure to comply will result in action taken by the association to remedy the violation directly. I read that line 4 times. Action taken by the association to remedy the violation directly. I called my attorney. She said it was likely an empty threat. HOA boards don't physically tamper with private property. The liability would be catastrophic. Document everything, she told me. If she tries anything, you'll have a clean case. So I documented. Installed 2 additional security cameras covering the utility shed and the junction box on the access road. And then I went back to work. 60-hour weeks. Grid infrastructure. Keeping the lights on for 500,000 people. While she plotted in her little cabin 3 lots down. I almost forgot about her. Almost. The call came on a Friday. I was 3 hours away, sitting in a board meeting when my phone buzzed. Security camera alert. Motion at the utility shed. I glanced at the notification under the table. Timestamp, 2:47 p.m. I couldn't check the footage right then. Told myself it was probably a deer. Maybe wind. The cameras triggered on movement, sometimes, when branches shifted. I went back to the meeting. Big mistake. I drove up to the cabin that evening. Pulled in around 9. Noticed immediately something felt wrong. The small indicator light on my battery bank monitor, the one visible through the utility shed window, wasn't green. It wasn't anything. It was dark. I grabbed my flashlight and went out back. The shed door was intact, locked, but the external junction box on the utility pole at my property line was hanging open. Wires cut clean. Someone had killed the connection between my solar system and the battery bank. I pulled up the security footage on my phone right there in the snow. Clear as day. The HOA president, gloves on, small bolt cutters, working at the junction box for about 4 minutes. She knew what she was cutting. She didn't hesitate, didn't look around nervously. She'd done it like it was nothing, like my property was hers to touch. I stood there in 12-degree cold, fingers going numb, watching the footage 3 times. And something shifted in me. Not panic, not even rage exactly, just this quiet, settled certainty. She'd crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed. What she didn't know, what she'd never bothered to find out in all her research into my solar panels and violation notices, was what I actually did for a living, and that was about to matter enormously. I made 2 calls standing in that snow. First one to the sheriff. Reported criminal tampering with utility infrastructure on private property. Sent them the security footage immediately. We'll have a deputy out there within the hour, the dispatcher said. Second call went to my company's emergency operations line. Regional Ops, this is dispatch. This is Marcus Webb, Senior VP of Grid Infrastructure. I have a deliberate disconnection incident at my personal property. Need a field crew dispatched tonight, and a full incident report opened. Brief pause. Copy that, Mr. Webb. Sending a crew now. ETA 45 minutes. I hung up and walked back inside. Sat in the dark cabin with just my flashlight. Calm. Focused. She'd played this like a power move. Cut my electricity. Leave me freezing. Force me to give in. What she didn't understand was how the system worked. Tampering with electrical infrastructure, even on private property, isn't a civil HOA dispute. It's a criminal offense. And when you do it to someone who runs the regional power authority, it gets escalated fast. The sheriff's deputy arrived first. Young guy. Took my statement. Watched the footage. His expression changed when he saw how deliberate the cuts were. That's not vandalism, he said. That's sabotage. 20 minutes later, 2 utility trucks rolled up my access road. Lights flashing. 3-person crew. They had my system reconnected in under an hour. Temporary splice. Clean work. The crew chief handed me a report. We documented everything. Photos. Wire analysis. Security footage timestamp. This goes straight to the State Utilities Commission for investigation. I thanked him. Then I asked one more question. How enforceable is the tampering statute? He smiled. Grim. Felony. Up to 5 years. Especially when someone cuts power in winter. Now we wait. 3 weeks later, Sheriff's Office calls me on a Tuesday morning. I'm in a board meeting again. This time I step out. Mr. Webb, wanted to let you know. The DA filed charges this morning. Criminal tampering with utility infrastructure. Felony count. She's been served. I thank him. Hang up. Go back into the meeting. I don't gloat. That's not the kind of satisfaction this gives me. It's quieter than that. More like a door closing. The HOA held an emergency session the following weekend. I wasn't invited. Didn't need to be. A neighbor I'd gotten friendly with, retired engineer, 2 lots over, sent me a summary afterward. The board voted 7-1 to remove her as president. The one dissenting vote was hers. She apparently spent 40 minutes arguing that her actions were justified, that she was protecting community standards, that I was the real threat, with my panels and my permits and my certified mail. Nobody agreed with her. I drove up to the cabin that Friday evening, pulled in just after dark, snow on the ground, stars out, battery bank indicator glowing steady green through the utility shed window. I made a fire, poured a drink, sat in the silence I'd bought this place for in the first place. She'd spent 6 months trying to take something from me. The view, the quiet, the simple satisfaction of a system I'd built with my own hands running clean and efficient through a mountain winter. She failed. I don't know yet what the court will do with her. That's not mine to control. What I know is the light is on, the cabin is warm, and I'm the one who keeps the power running.